Aries crew, come on in, come on in, come on in. I hope you're having a fabulous start to June. Happy June. We are halfway through 2025. Let me know how the year is treating you in the comments here. I hope so far at this halfway point, it's been a wonderful year. If you are not familiar with me, my name is Aries Rose, and welcome to Aries Rose TV. Here on this channel, we talk about movies, streaming shows, TV shows, world news, politics, local news, basically anything I find interesting, I come on and discuss with my Aries crew. And today we have a great show lined up for you. So Friday, I filmed a weekly night show that we do all the time here on Aries Rose TV, except not all of it uploaded for whatever reason. So we're going to get caught up on the stories that did not get uploaded that I did on the live on Friday. And then I also talked about a weekend reel segment that we're going to do, talking about great movies to go out and see. I go to the movies all the time. I'm really into movies. It's one of my favorite forms of entertainment, something I've been into since I was a child. So I want to start doing more reviews on here, let you guys know the awesome movies that you have to check out. Or even if it's not so great, we're going to share all of that on here. And vote in the comments if you think the first one I should do is on How to Train Your Dragon, the live action version, or Mission Impossible, the latest one that came out starring Tom Cruise. Let me know which one you want to see first for the Weekend Reel show, and we'll be doing that later on today. And for today's show, we are going to be talking about, of course, day 13 of the Diddy trial. We have been covering that here on Aries Rose TV since the trial started. So we will continue to follow that testimony. And, I'll put my thoughts in there on what I think from what we're hearing about. And, I like to have the conversation with the Aries crew here on if you think Diddy may get off or if you think the prosecution is proving their case. I like to have that discussion here. We're also going to talk about President Trump. He's teasing that he may pardon Diddy if he's convicted. So we're going to see what he's talking about there, what conditions he may pardon Diddy under. Offset and Cardi B, they are going through a divorce and things are heating up. Cardi B is furious that Offset is asking for spousal support. So, we got to get into that. Talk about Miley Cyrus. She breaks down her past family drama. She's the daughter of country star Billy Ray Cyrus, and Tish Cyrus is her mom. I don't believe her mom was in the music industry as a performer, but her dad and her mom have been married for a very long time. And so she talks about the ups and downs that her family's gone through, and those have been public challenges because of their status. And Miley and Billy Ray worked together on the Disney Channel show, Hannah Montana. So that's where he kind of seen a second wind of life. And I mainly remember him from his 90s hit, The Achy Breaky Heart. But for a younger generation, they may know him as Miley's dad on that Hannah Montana show on Disney Channel. And we also got to talk about Ronald Fenty, the father of Rihanna. He's passed away. And Loretta Swit, who was the star on the classic TV show MASH, she's passed away. So we got to talk about that as well. And first, we are going to get into Cardi B being furious with Offset for asking for spousal support. So those two are going through a divorce right now, and it doesn't seem like it's 100% amicable. And recently, Offset has filed an amendment to request spousal support. So we're going to get into that. Cardi B has reacted to that. And before we go any further, if you've been on the live before, you know the drill. If you are a returning Aries crew member, leave hashtag Aries crew in the comments. If you are a first time watcher, leave first time watcher in the comments. I want to give you a shout out for stopping by and spending part of your day here. And the story is pulling up, and it's going to be reporting from TMZ. And all right. And Cardi B says the ripple effects from the TMZ hip hop report of Offset pursuing spousal support ruined her day, so she's gonna wreck his life until it's over. And enraged, Cardi hopped onto X Spaces on Friday and proverbially dug a ditch for her estranged hubby to nosedive into, wishing him unalive. That's some serious animosity to do that and do that publicly for a couple that was at one point at least forward facing, very in love and with each other, and they share 3 kids together. So it's pretty sad to see that it's gotten to this point, especially because their kids will get old enough to read these kind of things. And I think that's going to be a tough conversation to have when they're seeing the back and forth between their parents go on. And hang on here. I'm going to hop back into the story. Cardi says she hopes Offset dies a slow death in a bed, haunted by the thoughts of his wife he left behind. Cardi fumed that she not only never asked Offset for a dime, but she doesn't keep him away from the kids. Yet he stood them up multiple times when they were expecting to see him. In her fit of rage, Cardi confirmed her toddler daughter's name to be Blossom, but says Offset has only seen the girl around 5 times since she was born in September of 2024, which was really towards the end of when their relationship was starting to break down, at least that we knew of publicly. It may have been before, but I remember it being around that time when we knew that she was pregnant with the third baby, that it was sounding like they were on the outs. And she said, according to Cardi, Offset says he doesn't want to travel to New York City just to see his kids from a hotel room, yet he still failed after she jumped through hoops to accommodate him. As we told you, Offset still wants joint custody of their 3 children in addition to extra Cardi cash. The Breakfast Club's Lauren LaRosa received additional info from Offset's team, who said the Migos rapper filed because Cardi was being unfair about visitation times while attempting to clean him out. Cardi also said she's determined to get her next album out after over 5 years of delay. Offset then pissed her off for good. We've reached out to Offset's reps. They declined to comment, which I think is best because there's not really too much you can say on that that's going to look good. You just kind of got to leave that where it's at. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think that she should pay him spousal support? I think Cardi makes more money than he does, or is worth more money than he does. I don't know exactly what she brings in all the time, but she did on her live go over the expenses that she covers just for their children that they share together. And it was quite a list of costs. It was pricey. I didn't add it all up, but I'm sure it was easily over $10,000 a month based on what she broke down for them having a chef and a driver, paying for school, paying for tutoring, paying for gymnastics, paying for boxing lessons, paying people that watch the children. It was a lot. So she's saying that she's covering all those expenses 100% by herself. So she must have some really good deals, brand deals, or sponsorships, or something that's keeping her afloat because she hasn't put out an album in a long time, or she just had her music set up so well she's still getting paid from it. I don't know how she's getting her money, but she laid out what she covers for the kids on her own that Offset does not help out with, and it was quite pricey for each month. So um, if he's not seeing them very frequently, I think it's kind of odd to ask her to fund this lifestyle, but I think that's probably common in divorces. One or the other usually asks for it. And let's get into some more reporting from TMZ on the story. Offset's not willing to give up his bad and bougie lifestyle, and he's asking the court to ensure his estranged wife Cardi B helps maintain it. The rapper filed an amended divorce response earlier this month, in which he's now asking that Cardi pay him spousal support. He does not request a specific amount in the documents. The rest of the requests look relatively unchanged because Offset's still asking for joint custody of their children, and he wants Cardi's place to serve as the primary residence for the kids. So it looks like, he concedes that she may do the most with them or spend the most time with them if he wants that to be their primary residence. And it's the first news from the divorce proceedings in months, with the whole process dragging since Cardi first filed in August of 2024, which is still not as long as the Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie divorce took 8 years. I don't even know if they were married for 8 years in total, but they took that long to get divorced. That process started in 2016 and didn't get finalized until 2024. So I don't know if that's common with these celebrities, but I think that's a really long time. So when you put that in perspective, this one with Cardi B and Offset isn't too bad, but I'm wondering why it's still taking this long if there's no more love there and they're both kind of seeing other people. Let's get into the story here. At the time, Cardi blasts reports that Offset didn't support her or their kids, ripping critics who tried to label him a deadbeat. However, the two have certainly had more than their fair share of fights on social media. Cardi said she didn't care if Offset got hit by a effing truck, so this divorce hasn't been totally amicable. However, Offset filed for joint custody of their kids and to pay their own legal fees, so at least the money seemed like it was working out fine. Worth noting, Cardi B's reportedly worth somewhere between 80 and 100 million, while Offset's reportedly worth closer to 30 million, so he could use the extra scratch. Clearly that ain't the case, and we'll have to wait and see if she's got to pay up. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. We'll definitely be following the situation as updates are available. We'll be sharing that here. Very sad. Sad to see their relationship has come to this, and I hope they can figure out something that doesn't have to play out in the public and it works in both their best interests and they can co-parent for the sake of the kids and still maintain a relationship so the children can have both of them in their lives, whichever way that may work out, if they're with their mom more or their dad more, but at least they'll get a chance to have them both in their lives each year, because I think it's important, especially if he wants to be there, to have them there. And let's get into our next story here. Miley Cyrus breaks down her past family drama. So that family's had a lot of things go down that sadly went down, in the public eye due to their high profile. Miley really blew up on the Hannah Montana show when that came out on Disney Channel. And that was at the time when TV was still big and Disney Channel was a big deal. So getting to be on that and being spotlighted on that, was going to guarantee you're going to have millions of eyes on you. And she's also a talented singer, just like her father. So she used that opportunity to show off her voice and her music as well. And both her and her dad have talked about the show kind of was part of what ended up causing problems for them. It's a lot of pressure, especially when you're at that level. And I think they were one of the top shows on the Disney Channel at the time. So I'm sure there was a lot of pressure there. And she was really young when that show hit. And they were navigating through all of that. But, since then, different things have occurred with the family. And that's been out there for everyone to see, including a recent divorce that Billy Ray Cyrus had from, I think her name was Fire Rose, somebody who had at one point been like an extra or had been in one of the Hannah Montana episodes. So, yeah, she was younger than him, still of age, but younger than him if she had been on that show. Um, and that relationship recently ended. They finally got that divorce, and now Billy Ray Cyrus is dating. He's dating a actress whose name Elizabeth Hurley, a very beautiful British actress. He is now dating her. I don't know how those two came into each other's orbit, but that's who he's with right now. And from everything I've seen, they seem to be really happy. And let's get into this reporting from TMZ. It's Miley Cyrus breaks down past family drama, respecting my parents as individuals. Miley Cyrus is speaking out about her evolving relationship with her parents, revealing she's reconnected with her father, Billy Ray Cyrus, following years of estrangement. In a new interview with the New York Times, the singer says she's approaching her family's past with a more mature perspective, saying, quote, as I've gotten older, I'm respecting my parents as individuals instead of as parents, because my mom really loved my dad for her whole life. And I think being married to someone in the music industry and not being a part of it is obviously really hard, end quote. Miley says she took Miley says she, quote, took on some of her mom's hurt as my own because it hurt her more than it hurt me as an adult. And so I owned a lot of her pain, end quote. Both of the singer's parents have gone on to find new love in their divorce, after their divorce, excuse me. Tish with Prison Break star Dominic Purcell and Billy Ray Cyrus with Elizabeth Hurley. Miley says she's able to support both her parents separately, quote, but now that my mom is so in love with my stepdad, who I completely adore, and now that my dad, I see him finding happiness too, I can love them both as individuals instead of as a parental pairing, end quote. Tish and Billy Ray divorced in 2022 after 30 years of marriage. Over the years, The family's drama is played out publicly, but Miley isn't phased. Quote, the thing I like about the new way that the world works is that everything is so fast. In the 90s, when something happened in a tabloid, remember how it happened for a year? Now it's just gone. End quote. The star says she's gotten the star says for her, she's, quote, gotten so used to that I'm like, if this is the symptom that sometimes we deal with these embarrassing or difficult public opinions, then that's something I'm willing to take to have the life that we have, end quote. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. Do you listen to or have you listened to Billy Ray Cyrus or Miley Cyrus music? I think they're both pretty talented. I enjoy Miley's singing. I like her song. There's a party in the USA, and then she's got another one. Um, it's like Enjoy the Ride, or but it's like an inspirational song about there's always going to be another mountain. You're always going to want to make it move. Don't know what the title of that song is, but it's a really uplifting song. I like that song too. I mean, I think she's got some pretty good music. I'm not a huge country music fan, but I have heard some of their songs. I, of course, heard Achy Breaky Heart. It was huge at the time it came out. So it definitely was a country crossover for sure into more of the pop world. So I'm glad to hear that her family is in a better space and that she's speaking to both her parents, because you truly don't know how long you have on this earth. So I think it's important that you get a chance to bond and spend time with them, because once you're gone, you're gone. It's no coming back. You can't do the things you wish you could have done. So I'm happy to see that they can get into a space where they can all enjoy each other and let all that other stuff go. And now we got to get into some sad news here that Rihanna's father died. He was 70, I believe. And I want to say, if I remember right, she had an interesting relationship with her father during her time when she was first making it big in the music world, which I would say was the early 2000s. Rihanna's been around for a long time. I remember when she was new in the game. So at this point, she's a veteran. She's been around for a long time. She's got a successful um, line with her Fenty makeup, really good quality makeup. I know that's brought her lots of money. I think she's also doing, she's also got a hair care line as well, and she's getting her mogul on. Rihanna is not wanting for money. She is very well off from her business decisions, and it's not all 100% from music. You know, sometimes certain things put you on the map and get you into the right rooms and in front of the right people, but your path is meant to be something else, and that's how I feel about her music. It put her on the map. It got her fans, admiration. It got her a chance to be in rooms with people that she was able to make moves and then build an empire from, that's feeding her and her family, and she don't have to sing or put out another album if she does not want to. And I think that was just some smart business moves she was making there, because she's young enough to still be able to enjoy her life and not have to just spend it all working trying to make sure that you're covered. So she made some good choices here, but sadly, her father's passed away. So we're going to get into this reporting from TMZ. Ronald Fenty, the father of Rihanna, has died. TMZ has learned. A source with direct knowledge tells TMZ Ronald died in Los Angeles after battling an illness. On Wednesday, Rihanna's brother, Rajad Fenty, was photographed arriving at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. We're told Rihanna was also in the car, although she's not visible in the photo. Rihanna and Ronald had a rocky relationship through the years. The two were estranged for a long period of time before eventually reconciling. Back in February 2023, Ronald told TMZ he was over the moon about his daughter and ASAP Rocky expecting another child together and was eager to be a part of the baby's life. Ronald shared 3 children with his ex-wife, Monica Brathwaite. I might be saying that wrong. Rihanna, Rajad, and Rory. The couple split in 2002, right as Rihanna's career was starting to take off. So that's what, 23 years at this point she's been in the game. He was 70 years old. May he rest in peace. My condolences go out to Rihanna, her family, his friends, anybody who cared, knew about him, anybody that he meant something to. Sorry to hear about your loss. Wishing you all the best during this difficult time. Prayers out to you for sure. And let's get into some Diddy news here. So, as you know, we are following that trial here. We've been following it since day one, and we will continue to follow the trial here until its completion, which I believe is going to be like the first or second week of July if everything stays on schedule. If you've missed a day, don't know what's going on, I will link the Diddy playlist here in the description for this live here. We've been covering it since day one, so you can get caught up on those videos so you know where we are as everything stands. And this is going to be testimony that took place on Friday. Unfortunately, that live didn't fully upload after I was done with everything that we talked about, so we want to make sure we cover that. And that was continuing with testimony from Mia, and that's a pseudonym that's being used by this particular person that's testifying. And they were one of Diddy's former assistants. So we've heard a lot from assistants, stylists, makeup artists. So these are people who must have spent a lot of time around Diddy and or Cassie, because some of the stuff they're talking about is related to her as well. And let's get into Trump. President Trump has teased that he may pardon Diddy if he's convicted. So that's not entirely a surprise to me because he has spoken highly of Diddy before, and it appears Diddy has, respect and like for Trump. He likes to stay at the Trump Hotel in New York. And I think at some point they had either worked together or he had done like Celebrity Apprentice and had come across Trump. So they do have a relationship that kind of goes back beyond this trial, and they're both from New York, so that's not surprising that they would know each other here. And let's get into that. It's taking a moment for this story to load here. Bear with me. And then once that comes up, we will get into that reporting here. And let me try to get this story up here. So we can, there we go. So we can talk about this. And we got, let's talk about what, we're going to go into this President Trump thing. And then we got to talk about, I missed this. Bill Maher made a comment about Cassie that we have to get into. And this reporting from TMZ about President Trump, I'll look into a pardon if Diddy is convicted. President Trump is weighing in on the Diddy federal criminal trial, saying he would look into the case and consider a potential pardon if the jury returns a guilty verdict. Trump just doled out a bunch of pardons and computations this week to a slew of celebs, and he was asked Friday if he would ever consider pardoning Diddy. President of the United States says he hasn't been following the Diddy trial all that closely and that he would have to look at what's happening and look at the facts. Trump said if Diddy was convicted and if he felt Diddy was mistreated, he might consider a potential pardon. Those are some pretty big ifs. Diddy literally is on trial right now, and if we're and we're likely not even halfway through. Frankly, all of this sounds a bit premature, even if Trump's recent batch of pardons prompted the question from Fox News' Peter Doocy. Diddy and Trump are both big figures in New York, and in 2012 on Celebrity Apprentice, Trump said of Diddy, "I love you, Diddy. You know, he's a good friend of mine. He's a good guy." Trump seemed to distance himself from Diddy in his answer, saying they haven't seen each other or spoken to one another in years. Trump says when he got into politics, his relationship with Diddy busted up, though he says that would not have an impact when it came to considering potential clemency. Diddy pled not guilty to 2 counts of X trafficking, 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, and 1 count of racketeering conspiracy. And he's currently on trial in Manhattan. We know your thoughts are on President Trump saying that he may pardon Diddy if he's convicted. I'm not surprised at this. We'll see how everything plays out here, but the way he's been moving since he's been back in, I could definitely see that happening. And excuse me for just a moment. Okay, and now we're going to get into this Bill Maher making a comment here on Cassie. And this reporting from TMZ says Bill Maher, Cassie could have left Diddy, but there was something in it for her. Diddy's defense team may just play Bill Maher's closing argument to the jury because the way he sees it, Cassie had an option to leave, but she decided to stick around. The real-time host was blunt. He says women now have options they've never had before. Abusers are now going to prison. Cops are listening to them, and they are emboldened. As Maher puts it, the solution is simple. Quote, if you're being abused, you've got to leave right away, end quote. He acknowledges Diddy's a bad guy who should be behind bars, but not necessarily for his relationship with Cassie. Bill ticks off various Bill ticks off various texts from Cassie to Diddy in which she talks about being down for freak offs, calling it, quote, enthusiastic consent, end quote. And then Bill goes deep into defense territory, saying Cassie was getting something out of her relationship with Diddy, so it was her choice to stay. Quote, if you have a #1 album on the charts, or if you want a #1 album on the charts so bad, you'll take a #1 to the face, and some of that's on you. End quote. Yeah, he said it out loud, and he's clearly going to piss off lots of people. Let me know your thoughts on Bill Maher's comments there. I think it's always difficult to judge a situation that you've never been in, and it's easier to say what somebody should do when you're not in that situation because you're not experiencing the same things that they are. Um, so, taking that with a grain of salt, that's just his opinion. He doesn't really know any of the challenges that Cassie may have had during that time that may have stopped her from doing that. Do I think that there's possibly some truth at some point? She was down with it and it just went a little too far. I do. But at this point, in what she is saying, is she's saying that was not consensual, that she didn't want to be doing any of that. She felt forced to do that for her own safety and to not be humiliated and to try and have some type of a career. And we'll see the way that the jury interprets that. We got to get in on these comments that Ray J has made on Diddy. This is reporting from TMZ as well. Ray J is railing against the racketeering conspiracy charge Diddy is facing in his federal criminal trial. He says a RICO charge against the Kardashians would be more believable. And as you know, Ray J had a relationship with Kim Kardashian, and they had out an adult tape here that really put her and her family on the map, because then from there they got their show on television, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and the rest is history. He's a huge reason of why we know all of them and why they've had the success that they've had, because they really took that publicity from that tape and built it into an empire right now. And every single Kardashian is still eating because of that, because it was able to open doors and put them in places that I don't think they would have been in had that not happened. But at some point, he started speaking out against them because, at first he kind of let people run with the story that he's the one to put the tape out and kind of put her in that compromising position and expose that. But according to him, allegedly, Kris Jenner and Kim Kardashian orchestrated all of that, and her goal was to try to be bigger than Paris. And she did that because she definitely beat out Paris as the it girl and was the it girl for a longer time than Paris Hilton was. But, at some point, Ray J has been kind of bashing them and been definitely more critical of the family than he had been in the beginning when they first came out here. So I'm not shocked to hear him throw their names in there. Let's get back into the story. Diddy's longtime friend came on his defense. Diddy's longtime friend came to his defense on TMZ's new weekly series on Tubi. TMZ presents United States for Sean Combs inside the Diddy trial. And Ray J says he's having a hard time believing Diddy is guilty of racketeering. Ray J says he spent a lot of time around Diddy and a lot of witnesses who are testifying, and based on his experience, he didn't see how the RICO charge is warranted. It's interesting, and conspiracy theorists would like this. Ray J has a theory that someone is sending a message to Diddy here, and he says the statement is being received loud and clear. Joe Tacopina also joined us on the week's episode, and he got into a heated debate with series regular Nancy Grace, with the two sparring over the trial's racketeering elements and throwing some personal jabs. Former Diddy assistant Capricorn Clark's testimony may help prosecutors close the loop on the RICO charge, and Ray, Joe, Nancy, Harvey Levin, Mark Garagos, Ashley Banfield, and Ebony K. Williams get into all of that and more. Check out TMZ presents United States versus Sean Combs Inside Diddy Trial, available now for free on Tubi. And all the reporting that TMZ has done on this Diddy trial and Diddy lawsuits has been really good. So if you do have Tubi, I encourage you to check it out. I'm sure it does not disappoint, but let me know what your thoughts on what Ray J said, that allegedly a racketeering charge would be more believable on the Kardashians and not Diddy. Do you think that's just sour grapes, or there may be some truth to that? Let me know in the comments here. And let's get into some of the testimony that happened on Friday here. And this reporting from TMZ, and this is testimony from Mia, one of Diddy's former assistants, says she had to ask the music mogul for permission for just about anything, including taking time off to lay her grandmother to rest. The witness, who is testifying under the pseudonym Mia, tells jurors Friday in her second day on the stand that she had to get permission to leave or do things, saying she even had to beg to go to my grandma's funeral. This all came out during cross-examination, with Mia getting grilled by defense attorney Brian Steele. Mia testified she had friends and family while working for Diddy, but she was so busy with her job responsibilities she had no time to see them or talk to them, and she did not have an external sounding board. Steele was suggesting Mia could reach out to her family and friends if she wanted, but she pushed back on that idea from the witness stand. Mia testified Thursday she was sexually assaulted several times by Diddy. Steele has been showing the jury glowing social media posts Mia made about her boss, who she claimed traumatized her. She said the posts show how social media tends to highlight the good things in life. She says she was best friends with Diddy at times. Steele asked how she could be best friends with the man she says raped her, and Mia responded, "Ask my therapist." Diddy's being tried on federal charges of trafficking and racketeering in New York City. Court is breaking for lunch, which it was at that time here. Let me know your thoughts on that. Begging for time off to go to a grandmother's funeral seems a bit excessive. Let's see what more we got here. Suge Knight is weighing in on this, so we got to talk about Suge Knight's comments on Diddy here. And this is reporting from TMZ. Currently incarcerated rapper Marion Suge Knight is urging his longtime arch rival Sean Diddy Combs to take the stand in his ongoing federal trafficking and racketeering trial in New York City, reasoning it would benefit him. Let me know if you think it would benefit him or if he should not go on the stand. I personally think he should not testify and leave that to his lawyers, but that's just me. Let me know what you think in the comments. Suge, who's behind bars for voluntary manslaughter, told CNN's Laura Coates via phone call from prison he thinks the music mogul could humanize himself by testifying and possibly walk free. Suge said his silence makes him look scared to face the music and suggested he have faith in God and tell his truth. The former Death Row Records chief's advice for Diddy comes days after he chatted with Chris Cuomo on Cuomo and said even though he and Diddy are not friends, he believes he should definitely walk free. As you know, Suge joined us on TMZ Live this week in the midst of Diddy's explosive trial, and he broke down his thoughts about the roller coaster of a testimony from Diddy's former assistant, Capricorn Clark. Suge serving 28 years in prison for a fatal hit-and-run crash in 2015. Diddy has pled not guilty to federal charges of racketeering, conspiracy, trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He faces life in prison if convicted. And we have one more piece of testimony from Mia that took place on Friday here that we definitely want to get into. This reporting from TMZ. Mia, a former assistant to Sean Diddy Combs, who's testifying under a pseudonym in the music mogul's federal trafficking and racketeering trial in New York City, took the stand again Friday morning. The prosecution asked Mia about several harrowing events over the course of her employment with Diddy, including her time in development with Revolt Films, one of Mogul's Combs Enterprises companies. She told the jury Diddy's ongoing intimidation of her resulted in anxiety attacks and PTSD, and her eventual parting with Diddy. She said she left the company in 2017 when Diddy wanted to shut down Revolt Films. She said that they were working on a severance pay for her. During 9 months of mediation, her attorneys asked for about $10 million. She said they settled on $400,000. Her lawyers got half. She said around that time, she had mentioned some of the violent incidents against her, but said she never brought up the alleged sexual assault, saying on the stand, quote, "Oh no, I was going to die with that," end quote. Mia was asked about either traveling to South Africa in 2015. Oh, excuse me. Mia was asked about earlier traveling to South Africa in 2015. She said Diddy ordered her to accompany Cassie on a movie shoot. She said Cassie had stopped taking Diddy's calls after Cassie found out Diddy was cheating on her with a woman named Gina. According to her testimony, Diddy was furious with Mia and threatened to fire her. She also says Diddy threatened to derail a personal project she was pursuing with ABC, and told the jury all this intimidation gave her anxiety attacks and night fear, she said. She testified about a 2010-2011 New Year's Eve trip to St. Bart's in the Caribbean, where she and Diddy and Kim Porter, their kids, and other people stayed on Diddy's yacht. Diddy asked Mia to count money from a safe, then became angry she was counting too slow. Excuse me for a moment. And then we're going to get back into the story here. She was counting too slow. She said she asked the crew to take her to land ahead of a hurricane, and she said Kim had tried to console her. She says she returned to the boat because Diddy had her passport and couldn't leave the country. And in the car on the way to the airport to go to Las Vegas with Diddy, she heard him talking on the phone, telling his chief of staff she needed to be suspended. Mia said he was, quote, making up a story about her. He told her to shut the F up, end quote. When she flew back to LA, she found herself with much less involvement and access in Diddy's day to day. She received notice from HR that she was being suspended without pay. HR told her that Diddy, who Mia continually refers to as Puff on the stand, said she was being insubordinate. But she continued to work for Diddy, saying she was scared of him and she felt she couldn't get another job because he'd blackballed her in the industry. So pretty much the story is the same from everybody we heard. He had them getting things, stocking these hotel rooms for these freak offs or Wild King nights, whatever he was calling them. They had to work a whole lot of hours. They weren't getting good pay. They were subjected to verbal, maybe even physical abuse, allegedly. He had a lot of mood swings. Sounds like it was a lot to work for him. Being an assistant is not an easy job anyway, but if you add on some of those other factors, that can make it even more challenging. I don't know if I feel that the prosecution is doing 100% of the job of proving the charges that he is being charged with, but it is still early in the trial, so we, have to hear more of the testimony that's going to come out, and given some of the things that we've already heard already, I can't even imagine with the rest of this testimony and who else is going to be coming up here. But we will be following this trial, and they will resume court tomorrow on Monday. So make sure that you stay tuned because we'll be doing some recaps on that and some other trending news that's out. Later on today, we plan on doing a weekend reels. It'll either be on How to Train Your Dragon or Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, the latest one that's come out starring Tom Cruise. So make sure, if you have not already done so, you hit that subscription button. Come and join the Aries crew. We have fun over here. We'd love to have you with us. And then hit that notification bell so you can find out every time I go live, post videos, post on the community page. We look forward to seeing you next week when we are doing our weekly night show here on YouTube. So make sure you get caught up for all your pop culture, world, local news right here on Aries Rose TV. You can do me a favor and like the video as you come in. It goes a long way and it means a whole lot. We are on the road to 2,000 subscribers. Want to thank everybody for all the support, for sharing, commenting, liking, joining the lives. All of that goes a really long way. Super happy to be here on YouTube. Absolutely love doing this. And I'm really glad that you're here as a part of this community. That's going to wrap up our live for today. We'll see you later on tonight. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you later.